This channel is sponsored by the Army Painter.
It's well known that Black Templars live for nothing else than rushing headlong into their opponent, charging into combat with chainswords a-swingin'. But do you know what gets you there faster than running in on foot? Transports. Lots and lots of transports. The Godhammer Assault Force lets you cram your Crusaders into tin cans, keeping them safe from fire before jumping out and ripping your opponents to pieces. If you're looking to raid some land, this is the detachment for you. For detachment focuses, codex reviews, and hobby tutorials, subscribe to us here on YouTube. To read more, head to goonhammer.com. Link in the description. Detachment rule: shock and awe. Whenever you charge after leaving a transport, one of the targets of your charge must make a battle shock test. Additionally, any units that got out of a transport this turn get +1 to hit with their melee attacks. While this is no Sky Splinter Assault Force, there's some interesting tech here. The battle shock test could be used to turn off your opponent's defensive stratagems, and if you focus on a party bus of smaller units, you can throw out a few tests a turn to ensure your opponent fails at least one of them. The +1 to hit is the real value here though. It's a simple buff, and since it doesn't require a charge, it can also work on units that either piled out of a repulsor or were forced out of their destroyed transport. Shocking no one, these enhancements largely buff units that got out of transports. Surprisingly, none lean into Tech Marines. Paragon of Fury ups the strength of your character's melee weapons by 2 and increases their damage by 1 if they jump out of a transport that turn. It's good on everything, but on the Emperor's Champion, it can be downright rude. Battlesome Centaur is a -1 debuff to the battle shock test your unit forces on an enemy after it charges. Personally, I would forget about this every single game. Augury Servo Host lets you strip cover from an enemy unit near the bearer. You're probably not doing a ton of shooting with any Templars list, but it pairs nicely with the range on the Repulsor Executioner's reroll to hit, and removing cover is never unwelcome. Herald of Sacred Slaughter gives the bearer's dedicated transport the zoomies, letting it scout 9 inches forward at the start of the game. It sadly limits you to pretty much just impulsors and old shoeboxes like the Rhino and Razorback, but starting that far up the board and rushing out of a transport is a pretty great play. Playing into the theme, your stratagems affect your vehicles and the dudes who get out of them. A Ceaseless Cause lets a unit that could have fought move 6 inches, but they can't jump back in a transport if they jumped out of one this turn. While it would be great for cycling in and back out of transports, it can potentially get a stranded unit back into one if you wait a turn, or you can use it to hide a unit or hop onto an objective. There's still a ton of utility there. Focused Hatred lets a squad charge through enemy units, provided they jumped out of a transport this turn. This is fantastic for blitzing through a screen like a bunch of power-armored football players. Uncompromising Egress lets a squad disembark 6 inches from a land raider before it moves, including setting them up in melee. Let your Execrator-led squad jump out 6, advance and charge, and get that long bomb alpha strike. Condemnatory Info Screed has the loudspeaker on your tank yell at the enemy and tell them just how much they suck. A unit that disembarks from a transport can reroll 1s to wound in the fight phase, and if that transport was a land raider, they can reroll all wounds. It's great for punching up, or just ensuring you kill what you want dead. As with most vehicle-centric detachments, there's a stratagem for Kool-Aid manning your way through terrain. Here, it's called Gauntlet of the God Emperor, and it'll ensure nowhere is safe from your land raiders full of dudes. Blessed Hull reduces incoming damage by 1 on a vehicle in the shooting phase. It's a shame it doesn't work in the fight phase too, but it'll make taking out your land raiders that much more difficult. Being successful with this detachment is going to require knowing when and where to dedicate your melee strikes, and properly balancing your transports and support characters with your infantry squads. You want at least 1 land raider, if not 2, and repulsor executioners pull double duty here, giving you some ranged anti-tank while also giving you a nice delivery system for small sword brethren squads. Just be sure to protect your vehicles. Transport detachments tend to share a single, brutal point of failure, in that they can be easily derailed by some clown with a melt-a-gun. There are some great stratagems here, and they can be combined with some of the enhancements for some devastating early pressure. The only issue here is that it's very command point hungry to do all the things you want to do. Consider bringing a captain along to maximize your stratagem usage. There's a lot of squeezing you have to do to get the juice in this detachment, but the juice is certainly there. Now let's go over the strengths and weaknesses. Great support for the game plan. This detachment is extremely straightforward in what it wants you to do. get in transports and charge out of them. Luckily, there's some great support here to do just that. Good tools for early pressure. Between access to Scouts 9 inches on a dedicated transport and getting an extra 3 inches while getting out of Land Raiders, you can project a gnarly threat range with your big melee units early. And also, you were gonna do this already. Transports are always part of the Black Templar game plan, so adapting to this detachment doesn't take much doing. Now unfortunately, Battle Shock is unreliable. The Battle Shock clause of the detachment rule is more of an afterthought than anything else. It can be nice, but with no way to affect enemy leadership without spending points, and even then just at a -1, it'll rarely be relevant. It's also not helpful after your go turn. Once you're out of your transports, there's nothing in this detachment to help your units do anything better than what their datasheets say. For a detachment rule that'll likely affect a unit once or at best twice per game, +1 hit is not particularly impactful. Careful planning is also required here. From building your list to deciding who goes in what transport to deciding when to jump out of those transports, you've got to plan ahead for what should be a very straightforward detachment. This detachment has some fun ideas and it supports the way I've personally been playing Black Templars for most of 10th edition. Hurling your transports up the board, daring your opponent to deal with them, then jumping out and tearing the enemy to pieces is still a viable game plan, but you don't necessarily need this detachment to do that. There are already ample opportunities to reroll hits with units like Castellans or Grimaldus, or get early pressure with deep striking and scouting units in other detachments. It's still a fun detachment and certainly a decent way to play, but it lacks some of the finesse of the less Land Raider centric detachments out there. If you want to read more about this detachment and check out a sample list, head over to goonhammer.com. Now why don't you godhammer that MF subscribe button and support us on Patreon to ensure we keep making videos like this one. You also get Discord access, extra features in Administratum, and bonus podcasts, including one about the new Templar Codex, where you can hear me learn about rules I missed in real time. I've been Carpool McHOV Lane, letting you know that the shock and awe rule doesn't work unless you say it like Stephen Lang in Avatar. I don't even like that movie, but them's the rules. Thanks for watching.